Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies. Becker Retirement Group is an independent financial services firm that helps people create retirement strategies using a variety of insurance and investment products. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to safety, security, or guaranteed lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investment products. Insurance and annuity product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Becker Retirement Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. You should talk to a qualified professional before making any decisions about your personal situation. We are not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
This is Real Retirement Radio with Arwen and Randy Becker. With the Retirement News Network's Megan Mozak. With more than 45 combined years of advisory experience, Arwen and Randy founded Becker Retirement Group in 1999 with the understanding that retirement is more than just money. It can be the best time of your life. This is Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Hi, Megan Mozak from the Retirement News Network. It is a pleasure to be here with the Beckers, and we're glad to have you with us. Of course, I'm joined by Arwen and Randy, and they are the founders of Becker Retirement Group. They have 2 locations for you I want to tell you about. You can find them either in Bothell or in Bellevue. And here's the phone number as we start things off on the show. And don't worry, we'll give this number out throughout the program. But to begin things off, I want to make sure you have the phone number in case you have any questions. It's 800-725-8220. Here's that number again, 800-725-8220. So, Arwen, Randy, it wasn't too long ago when you could count on a few things for retirement, right? A pension. Remember those? And of course, pensions, we know that they're fantastic. They offer that guaranteed income stream. The other thing you could count on back in the day, a strong Social Security program. Nobody was really worried about it years ago. And you might have even gotten a gold watch for all your years of service. But boy, things have changed. And this is a theme that comes up on our show a lot. And, these days, most people aren't lucky enough to have one of those employer-sponsored pensions. Instead, well, we've got to find ways to piece together a lot of different income sources. And hopefully that's going to provide the income stream that we need, that's going to last as long as we need it. So here's what we want to do on our show today. Arwen and Randy are going to help us understand the different ways that you can build lifestyle-sustaining income, the income you can count on throughout your retirement. So, Arwen, let's talk about that. How important is this assurance that comes with knowing that we're okay, we're set up for retirement from an income standpoint?
Oh my gosh, Megan, it's enormous. I mean, it is the number one question that we get when people come in. Is my money going to last? I mean, it's really looking at that piece. And, the greater the share of income that's actually guaranteed in terms of both timing and amount, really the more confident people can be about not running out of money during retirement. But the thing is, a lot of people come in and they're just not that confident. It's this feeling of unknown that they have. And you know what? I actually saw a survey that was talking about the mindset of the people who come in to see us. And according to this survey, the number one retirement fear among workers, 51%, is outliving their savings and investments. It's basically running out of money or being able to generate income. It used to be prior to 2008, the biggest fear that people had was public speaking, and then death was second to that. And now it's running out of money. And then you have a lot of people that don't, the majority of individuals that come in to see us these days, they don't have a pension. And so if you have that defined benefit plan or employer funded pension plan, they just don't really exist much anymore. They're really disappearing. A lot of people had them from the past. They're still coming in a little bit, but for new workers, only 2% in private industry actually have access to a pension plan. So that's probably a big part of this fear that individuals have, because now they got to take this money they've saved and figure out how to actually become a pension provider for themselves versus having the company do that, which is how it's been done for decades.
And speaking of pensions, Randy, since they are really hard to come by these days, that truly means it's up to us. We have to, as Arwen mentioned, you've got to build your own retirement paycheck, your own pension.
It's true. And as a matter of fact, if you think about it, the system's pretty easy for accumulators. There's great places to save. You get a tax advantage for doing it. Employers will match. And, while you're working, you've got income coming into the household. So saving in the background and accumulating is really easy. But when you fast forward to becoming a retiree, you kind of transition to what's sometimes referred to as distribution mode. And frankly, that was normally left to actuaries, mathematicians, people that ran a pension. And those incomes could be distributed on a guaranteed basis for your life or your joint lives of you and your spouse. And that used to be real turnkey as well. But like we're discussing today, it's not that way anymore. So we're going to have people come into the office. They've saved and saved and saved. And now they have a chunk of retirement assets, 200,000, 800,000, whatever that is. And it's on you. It's on that participant to distribute that precisely throughout your life and avoid the perils, avoid the mistakes. And guess what? It's difficult. In fact, that's why we exist. So it boils down, as we're going to talk today, it boils down to a couple of types of income flows. Those that are guaranteed, and maybe that's some form of an annuity contract where it's going to have guaranteed payments. We still call Social Security a guaranteed source. And it's going to be those that are non-guaranteed, like a diversified income portfolio or distributions from your 401k that are oftentimes going to be equity oriented, and they will fluctuate in value. So it's identifying how it's done and then structuring a strategy to make sure it's done properly.
Yeah, because having an income plan, an actual written income plan, is so vitally important. And it's really actually pretty surprising that about 73% of couples disagree on whether or not they have an income plan, the one that determines how much they're going to have in their 80s month by month and, into their 90s. And so maybe that speaks a little bit to you. Maybe you're already in retirement or it's looming on the horizon. But more than anything, it's absolutely vital that you know with a degree of certainty that the money that you have is going to be enough coming in month after month, year after year, long after you retire. And it's really not just to cover your expenses, but to really help you live those dreams and the goals and the things that you've been delaying until retirement. Helping you pay for your bills. I always say that's kind of the low-hanging fruit. That's the basics of what a retirement planner should do. But helping you live out the dreams that you have and that best life, that is the main focus of Becker Retirement Group. So give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we'll start working through your best life retirement plan. There's absolutely no cost involved in this, and we're just going to build it for you, and you really have nothing to lose. So if you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, give us a call and we'll schedule your initial visit to work through your specific circumstances and put a dollar figure on those dreams you want to accomplish during retirement. So give us a call, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220.
And this is just a tremendous value that you'll be walking away with. The knowledge that you're on the right track, or maybe you have some work to do, but the confidence knowing you'll be able to do it with two pros, Arwen and Randy, working together as a team now for more than 3 decades, helping people right here in our community plan successfully for retirement. So to find out more about that Best Life Retirement Plan, I want to give you the phone number again, 800-725-8220. 2 locations, as I mentioned, Bothell and Bellevue, and a tremendous website. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you go to beckerretirement.com for more information, especially if you'd like to attend an upcoming seminar. Go to beckerretirement.com. Randy, I want to lay out the blueprint, right? The steps that you take when you're building someone's Best Life Retirement Income Plan. Where do you start?
It's a critical step in the process, Megan, and so because first thing you have to do is you need to figure out how much income you're actually going to need in retirement, and it's based on your projected expenses. We have great tools here to help make that easy for anyone that talks to us. We ask for a little bit of information on what's going on in the current financial situation, what we anticipate or what our clients anticipate in pensions and social securities, rents, other forms of income they may have. And then we couple that with outflows. We're really good at talking outflows for retirees because we do it every day. And so it allows us to sort of anticipate things that we've seen in, 100 or 500 people that we've talked to over the course of the last couple of years, let alone decades. But just to apply that secondary data to what we're putting together in what we call Retirement Analyzer. So with that tool, we're actually going to start by wanting to help people become cash flow neutral. Now, what that means is you're going to take your fixed outflow, those things that you're pretty much guaranteed to have to spend money on, housing and living expenses, healthcare and insurance and utilities and those basics, and we're going to want to at least match your guaranteed inflows with those outflows. Now, the variables, the things that Arwen always references as it relates to having a great time in retirement, that's cool. Traveling and making gifts and, doing fun stuff, that's important too. But first, we're going to make sure we're covering those fixed expenses, and then we're going to tackle the variables.
So, Arwen, let's say you have an idea of the expense side of the equation, right? How do you start then to create your supply of retirement income?
Well, you have to have this integrated income plan, this plan that I was referencing, because there's always a big difference between investments and planning. It's knowing how the things that you own overlay with a pension, overlay with Social Security, overlay with expenses and inflation and all of those things, how that all integrates. So it can be really difficult if you're trying to do this by yourself, but it's really not so daunting because this is something that we do for people day in, day out. But it's looking at all those things, as I mentioned, Social Security, looking at your qualified retirement plans, such as IRAs or 401ks, 403bs, things like that, Roth IRAs, then your pension plan, and then your investment portfolio that you have, stocks and bonds and things of that nature. And if you possibly have any annuity contracts, variable annuities, fixed indexed annuities, and then real estate. Do you have some real estate? Is that providing any rental income? And, these different things. And then, of course, what you have in your basic checking and savings, your liquid money or your emergency funds that you have as well. All of those things together, that's how we have to look at it to then determine this whole income piece, how much you have coming in and what that's going to look like for you specifically.
So, Randy, after you add up all the income streams, you get that idea of how much income you'll have coming in. How do you know when to turn on the income or even how long that's going to last?
Well, Megan, if you were in the office, this is where I'd walk up to the whiteboard and start illustrating some of the flows that people have in their retirement spending, because it starts with usually expenses are a little higher early in retirement, and that's because you're going to be living out pent-up dreams, and they slow down a little bit after that's out of your system. But then they tend to go up late in retirement due to healthcare costs and things of that nature. If you take that overlayment with the assets and the current cash flow that's coming into the home, then a skilled professional like Arwen and I can then identify how to best start scheduling income streams. And as long as I'm talking about income streams, I just want to point out something. It's an absolute critical component to any retirement blueprint. It's having an income strategy, not just some, verbal understanding or some thought process. It's literally a written, thought out plan. I even want to say that for a handful of listeners for today, we're going to sit down without any cost at all, without any obligation, and build a plan that helps create a complete income strategy tailored just for you. It's called the Best Life Retirement Plan, and I bring it up because it takes a good amount of work to do, and we're delighted to do it, but we can only, work with so many individuals, and so I recommend that people pick up the phone, give us a call at 800-725-8220, and have one of these plans built. Take the mystery out of it. There are a lot of people in town that are facing retirement right now. There are people that are being asked to retire, whether they feel they're ready or not. And you know what takes the fear and the mystery out of it? It's having a well thought out plan. So why not call today, 800-725-8220, and we'll have this discussion. We'll have it personalized just for you. 800-725-8220.
Do you want to build a solid income for yourself in retirement? Stay tuned because Arwen and Randy show you the next important steps to building your own lifetime income stream. That's straight ahead.
You're listening to Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Saturday morning, drinking my coffee, checking my accounts, then that little voice in my head. What on earth are you doing? Why are you trying to be your own financial advisor? You don't know anything about the financial business. You got too much money at stake to do this by yourself. Too many people are counting on you. Sometimes you gotta listen to those voices. So I made the call. Monday I got the call back and met with Arwen and Randy Becker. Just the three of us. Had my numbers, portfolio, basically everything, and they said, put that away. We didn't talk about what I had, we talked about what kept me up at night. What Karen wants when we retire. Don't want to let her down. I mean, we've been talking about it for years, and now here it is. We're not quite ready to retire, but we're ready to be ready.
Let's talk. Becker Retirement Group, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220.
Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.
This is Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Hi, Megan Mozak from the Retirement News Network. Always a pleasure to be here with Arwen and Randy Becker of Becker Retirement Group. If you'd like to get in touch with the Beckers, call today, 800-725-8220. Maybe you have a question about our show topic today, generating income in retirement, or you know you're ready to get serious about your plan for retirement. You can set a visit with Arwen and Randy at one of their offices located in Bellevue or Bothell. 800-725-8220. That's the number. Again, that's 800-725-8220. 220. Now, today, as I said, we're helping you build your own lifetime income stream, teaching you how to do that. And Arwen, I would guess a lot of our listeners out there have a 401k, right? An IRA, something like that. How do you convert a plan like that, though, into actual retirement income?
Oh, that's such a good question, Megan, because many people are facing that. As I said, about only 2% of people have pensions anymore or getting them. And, you know, that income piece is so paramount in retirement. And, you know, so you've probably, for most people, worked really hard to accumulate the amount that you have in your retirement savings. So the question is, how do you make that amount that you've saved really work for you in retirement? And so what we've seen is this shift to 401ks and company plans from all these people who are entering retirement with more financial savings, but less of that guaranteed lifetime income, which is like the pension. So they have the lump sum sitting in these accounts, and really now they've got to start trying to figure out, how do you convert this lump sum into an income stream? And that's a big part of what we're talking about today.
So true. You know, Randy, how can people who have lump sums in an IRA or in a 401k like we're talking about, how do they take those dollars and then convert them into income?
You know, the funny thing is you'd think these plans would have a mechanism internally built in that,
right.
You know, for converting these assets into some form of payments that you can count on month after month. But the reality is only just a minor minority of 401ks and other qualified plans actually offer the option to shift money into an annuity that pays you out when you retire. So it's a little tricky, Megan.
You know, Randy makes a great point here, Arwen. I read this government report. It said that just about a third of 401ks have that retirement income withdrawal option, which is kind of crazy. And only about a quarter offer an annuity. How would an option like that work, though?
Well, most of them tend to be structured kind of like an immediate annuity, where a portion of those assets inside the 401k or whatever qualified plan you might have has an annuity that begins to deliver these guaranteed income streams, you know, to the individual right away, the moment that they retire. A little bit of the challenge is oftentimes that's irrevocable. So once it has now been turned into an annuity and the income has begun, you can't go back and change it. So it is a really big decision, and it often can be very limiting. So it's, you know, we always talk about in retirement, one of the best things is being able to retain control and flexibility. And oftentimes, if you're utilizing something that's still at your employer plan, you're limiting the best options that you might have out there. So that's why it's really good to work with an independent planner as well.
Absolutely. So, Randy, if your plan does have this option, if you're one of the few that has it, is that always the best option?
Not necessarily, Megan, because it's important to work with a professional who's really going to integrate all of your needs and your objectives. And for example, one thing is tax. When you take money out of an employer-sponsored plan, there's mandatory tax withholding at a certain percentage, depending on your state and your locality. But from a federal standpoint, that's going to dictate how much is withheld from your paychecks, and that might not be appropriate for your tax circumstances. However, with the proper rollover and putting it into a self-directed IRA, you can control that aspect, but at the same time, you can look at other options for investing the principal balance of your retirement plan and possibly have not only higher income, but better potential rates or the ability to control the risk posture of the account. And so really, it does make sense to continue to make sure you have maximum flexibility and maximum control with what we're talking about here, which is your life savings. And on that note, when money is converted to a stream of payments, that's technically called an annuity. That's an annuity payout. And given the huge variety and style of annuities that are out there, it can be a complicated environment. In fact, I've often said if you lay out 10 different annuities in front of me, there's 8 or 9 of them I don't want to have anything to do with. But there's some that could make sense. The important aspect is to find out A, if you're a good candidate for an annuity, if B, you actually need it at all, and C, if it stitches in properly with your circumstance. And I would recommend that we have that conversation. It could be the smartest move you make to give us a call at 800-725-8220. And I just want to repeat that one more time. It's 800-725-8220. It all starts with a plan, and we happen to call ours the Best Life Retirement Plan. We're not going to go ahead and start recommending an annuity or no annuity or whatever without knowing what's going on. And frankly, if someone's doing that to you, run. Don't walk. Get out of there. Start with a plan. And that's what we're going to do. It's 1-800-725-8220. Get your Best Life Retirement Plan, because then the advice you receive is based on your moving parts, your needs, your goals, and your objectives. So give us a call, 800-725-8220.
And I want to mention that website again. If you haven't visited, make plans to head on over to beckerretirement.com. Arwen and Randy have a great site there for you. It's just a tremendous resource as you're beginning to think about retirement, this next chapter of life. Start there. Go to beckerretirement.com. Arwen, what if a person does want this guaranteed income that you can get from an annuity, but they just don't have that type of in-plan mechanism, the way to convert all the assets in that qualified plan, their 401k or IRA, into actual income?
Yeah, I mean, with those lump sums that you have from your 401k, then, as you get into your 70s, you're going to have to start taking your required minimum distributions out. And if it's still at a company plan, that becomes much more complicated for you personally. And so there's those things. There's, just a lot of different moving parts when you're constructing this income stream and you're looking at, okay, how am I going to be getting this money in the most tax efficient way possible as well? And that's, again, why you need to work with a planner that can see all of these things. Because we think of, when people come in and they're in their late 50s or early 60s, we're like, oh, you're so young. This is so great. We have multiple years where we can do some additional tax planning that's going to help reduce your potential tax bill once you hit your 70s and your required minimum distributions now kick in. The IRS says you need to pay your taxes now, is basically what it's doing. And so there's a lot of forethought that goes into what we do, and you're doing it for the very first time.
Yeah, if I can even add to that, Arwen, just this week we were talking with somebody about how they needed to integrate Social Security in their thinking. In fact, I think of a couple of meetings. One person needed to actually start her Social Security soon, just right away. And the other one, though, it made a lot of sense to postpone it. But remember, if you're postponing your Social Security to get the benefit of doing that, a higher payout, where are you going to fill that income gap from? So I really agree with you. It's just having that integration, having the experience to examine that and explore that territory and then implement something appropriate.
Randy, I've heard a lot about annuities. They seem to be generating a lot of popularity these days. But I wonder, just in the very simplest, most basic terms, how do they work?
It's really simple. It is, you take a lump sum of money. It could be your rollover. It could be money that's stashed in cash or whatever. And you make a single deposit, and you can do two things with that single deposit in a fixed annuity environment. By the way, we don't care for the type that are called variable annuities that are riddled with fees and still contain the risk and are as complex as can be. We like the guaranteed environments that help people have no fees or very low fees if they choose to stack riders on. Anyway, going back to the point, you can do two things with it, Megan. You can defer income and let it act as a stable value holding and grow, which is great. Or you can turn on income now or, in the very near future, and you can let it give you paychecks. And so knowing those two basics, defer income for later or take income now, do it on a safe and guaranteed basis, and don't pay a lot of money to do that, makes it really simple to understand. Now we use it as a tool. Like I've got tools in my garage in my toolbox. I just did a brake job. I needed a specific tool to do a specific thing with the caliper. And, a surgeon has tools. We're financial professionals. We have tools. Guess what? It's critical. We use them properly, and we use them when needed. That's where people get confused with this term annuity, and it's terrible, and you hate them, and I hate them, and you should too. No one needs them. We don't know that. We want to know if the tool applies, but frankly, if it doesn't, we're not interested either. But if it's going to solve a need, man, it's awesome. It works perfectly, just like when I was doing my brake job and I needed a special tool for my caliper.
Yep. And you got those brakes done. I've tried out the truck since then. And the thing is, we get that. I said it's probably one of the biggest questions that we get from people. How do I know that my money isn't going to run out? And when is it actually time that I can retire? Many of you have in your mind out there a dollar figure that you have to have in order to be able to retire. And I'm telling you, we see it over and over and over again. More times than not, that dollar figure is inaccurate. It's oftentimes higher than what is actually necessary. So that's why it's so great to talk to somebody who sits down with people every single day and who, just like us, we spend our life trying to protect what it is that you have worked your entire life to accumulate. So you want to work with somebody who specializes in all things specific to retirement. So if you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, let's talk about your plan. Give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we'll schedule a time, sit down and visit, and we'll work through your best life retirement plan. You're going to find it so valuable. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to it. We'd just love to visit with you and see where we can be of help. So this is about your retirement, and we want to help you do that. 800-725-8220. Give us a call at 800-725-8220.
Want to know how to build lifetime income for retirement? The next few steps are real difference makers. Arwen and Randy share those up next.
You're listening to Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Concerned about missing the boat to a confident retirement? Don't worry. It's never too late to establish your relationship with a financial professional. In fact, if you've already retired, it may even be more important to have a reliable, trusted advisor help keep your retirement strategy on track. Act today. Optimize your time horizon, your recovery time, and take advantage of available opportunities to develop your overall financial strategy. Don't walk alone. Choose to work with an independent financial professional. Why not start today?
If it's important to you to get started today to refine your retirement strategy, give me a call. I'm Arwen Becker with Becker Retirement Group. Let's sit down together and look at your options. Call me at 1-800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. By contacting us, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of insurance and investment products.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Saturday morning, drinking my coffee, checking my accounts, then that little voice in my head. What on earth are you doing? Why are you trying to be your own financial advisor? You don't know anything about the financial business. You got too much money at stake to do this by yourself. Too many people are counting on you. Sometimes you gotta listen to those voices. So I made the call. Monday, I got the call back and met with Arwen and Randy Becker. Just the three of us. Had my numbers, portfolio, basically everything, and they said, put that away. We didn't talk about what I had, we talked about what kept me up at night. What Karen wants when we retire. Don't want to let her down. I mean, we've been talking about it for years, and now here it is. We're not quite ready to retire, but we're ready to be ready.
Let's talk. Becker Retirement Group. 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.
This is Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Hi, Megan Mozak from the Retirement News Network alongside Arwen and Randy Becker of Becker Retirement. Glad you've joined us today here on the show. If you'd like more information about Randy, Arwen, and the team, I want to give you the website. Visit beckerretirement.com. That's beckerretirement.com. And if you'd like to get in touch, you're welcome to call. Here's that phone number. 800-725-8220 is the number. Again, it's 800-725-8220. 8220. Today on our show, Arwen and Randy are giving us the tools to potentially build lifetime income in retirement. You know, we often hear having cash. That's so important, Randy, when we're building out a comprehensive retirement income plan. It comes up on our show a lot. Where do you see cash, though, fitting into today's discussion?
Actually, Arwen and I love it when we see people that are in a situation where they have plenty of liquidity. And what we're going to do is make it one of our first priorities to help protect that liquidity. Because what we have found from doing this year after year after year is that's the money that somebody can go to first when they want to do fun things. You know, they want to give a gift to their grandkids, or they want to take the family on a trip, or fix up the home before they're selling it, or fix up the home for the dreams that they've been thinking about while they were working. Whatever it might be, people want to spend that kind of money instead of going to their retirement accounts where they feel like they're, you know, rightfully spending their financial future. And you know what? We can't agree with that anymore. But then we're going to come across those people that have too much cash. They sold a rental and they have $400,000 sitting there in cash. Now, this is a great opportunity to deploy it into possibly some tool that produces income like an annuity. Now, again, it all starts with the plan. I'm not going to make any recommendations till we've done that and we know that it makes sense. But someone could be postponing Social Security, you know, not eligible for their pension for a few years. They're in their early 60s, let's just say, but they're sitting on a big bucket of cash. That's a great tool to create steady cash flow. Actually, we're not too opposed to somebody feeding that out of their accounts themselves, but we'll have other people that'll say, no, if it stays there, it's not the best for me. I should have it in an instrument so that it's mechanized and I don't get at it. You know, you yourself will know what's going to be best for you. Arwen and I, we have a responsibility of educating you on things that we've used and know that work, but together we're going to co-create that strategy. But Megan, I really do think there's great ways to deploy cash, some with risk and some without.
Randy, I want to talk about something called a deferred income annuity. I hear that term a lot. What is that? How does that work? And who would you say is a pretty good candidate for one of those?
A deferred income annuity is just as the name describes. We're going to defer turning it on. That's a great feature because guess what happens when you're in deferral mode and it's accumulating money? You don't have to report that on your income tax return. This is, of course, if it's non-IRA. So that's great. You're deferring it and you're not adding it to the taxable income line on your tax return. Great. But then at some point in time, you're going to push the button and receive a steady stream of income in many ways that you may want to take it: annually, monthly, for the rest of your life, or for a period of time, or what have you. And this, again, is how you can stitch it together with life events, other income items on your cash flow sheet, other moving parts in your overall life. So when you have these mechanisms, one being turn it on tomorrow, one being defer, like you're asking about, and turn it on later, again, how does it stitch in with the overall picture? It starts with a plan. We call ours the Best Life Retirement Plan, but it's really piecing everything together, understanding you, and then seeing if these things make sense.
You know, maybe all of this is resonating with you, what Randy's talking about. You know, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of different tools and investments that can be utilized. And we see it all the time. People don't know how the things that they own work together in a plan. So if that's you and you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, let's talk about your plan, or let's build one if you don't have one. Give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we'll schedule a time for you to sit down with one of our financial professionals and work through your best life retirement plan. I promise you're going to find it extremely valuable, and there's absolutely no cost or obligation. We would just love to visit with you and really see where we could be of assistance. So if that's where you're at, or maybe you're looking at your future retirement, call us at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. We always say we're going to leave you better than when you came in, and that's definitely our promise to you. So 800-725-8220. Give us a call now.
And you can always go to that website for more information as well. It's beckerretirement.com. Remember, Arwen and Randy hold terrific in-person seminars, educational workshops, and these take place all throughout the year. I want to make sure that you can attend. So go to that website for more details, beckerretirement.com. Arwen, are there other ways to build income plans?
You know, there is, Megan. We're actually going to talk about it in our final segment today. But, a lot of times people can actually utilize diversified income portfolios. So we've been talking about more of the safe and guaranteed ways in which to distribute income to you. But there are other ways to do that. And everybody's different. Everybody has different ideas of how they want their income. But there are different options. It doesn't really matter if a lot of our clients are happy utilizing an annuity. We're honestly indifferent one way or another. There's many options utilizing annuities or not utilizing annuities. And we want to make sure that we let you know that we have the entire world of investing open to us. There's a lot of ways to solve this. So we do have other ways to solve that. You have options. You just have to really be conscientious, because when you're utilizing an account that is invested in the market and you're taking income in systematic payments out of that, you have to be very mindful, because if we're in something like 2008 and you're pulling income out on a monthly basis, it's something that's called reverse dollar cost averaging. So really, when you were working, dollar cost averaging was you were buying a little bit of your 401k, a few shares here over this long period of time. Sometimes you got them at a lower amount, sometimes you got them at a higher amount, but over time, it's a great growth mechanism. When you're withdrawing money out of an account that fluctuates, it actually depletes your assets a lot faster. So you have to be mindful and understand the pros and cons of both sides.
Today on our show, we're looking at ways to help build lifetime income for retirement, and we're not done yet. Randy, what's the next idea?
Well, it's to really understand your options with the big one, Social Security. I should say the common one. We don't know how large it'll be or how small it will be for any particular client or how it fits into their circumstance, but what we do know is the facts around Social Security. If you take it at your full retirement age, that's the age that the Social Security Administration has basically built the plan around. But they do let you take it early. That can be as early as age 62. And they also let you postpone it, and that can be as late as age 70 and anything in between. What's so great about our plan when we build it is that we just have a simple radio button on each age, and we can push the button, say at age 67, and see what it looks like trickled out through your whole financial picture by delaying it a year or two, or say going all the way out to age 70, or frankly turning it on early, whatever. Because remember, the longer you wait in taking Social Security, the higher the benefit will be. But what happens if, heaven forbid, you don't live long enough to receive all those benefits? Is there some ancillary reason I might do that? Or what happens if it makes sense to spend it early at age 62 because you can invest it in some sort of a healthcare strategy? Who knows?
Yeah. And, a lot of people do say, well, I think I'm just going to delay because it's a bigger benefit, which is true. But this is, again, it's so important that you see how that overlays with all the income pieces, all of your investments, because we can often help lead you to understand what would be the best choice for you to make in your current circumstance, because it's not always what's the biggest benefit. Sometimes for some of our clients, taking it early is actually a great benefit because they really don't need all of that income so desperately in the future. And so being able to have, a couple extra years of, maybe another $1,500 coming in month after month for 4 years, I'm sure just like me, you too, Megan, could probably figure out what fun things to do with an extra $1,500 a month over a 4-year time period. We can all think that way. So sometimes it's really fun for us to give clients that option as well and know that that exists.
Arwen, let's talk Social Security here. Is it true that good things come to those who wait?
Yeah, we just kind of were talking about that. Yeah, I mean, it is. Most people do know that you receive a bigger benefit if you delay. Most people's full retirement age is somewhere between 66 and 67. That's kind of the full benefit. And then that bases this calculation for every year that you wait after that, you get an extra 8%. So if your full retirement age was 100% benefit and you delayed until 70, you'd be getting 135% of that benefit.
Randy, I know some people are worried about Social Security. They come to your office and they say, Arwen, Randy, I don't know if this is going to be around for much longer. What do you tell them? What do you think?
Well, I tell them that it depends on kind of their age category. For my college son, our college son, we kind of are less interested in having that be an integral part of the plan. But somebody that's going to be signing their papers for retirement next month, we definitely are going to incorporate that into their plan as part of their long-term income. And part of the reason why is there's a lot of information actually on the Social Security Administration website that gives us some guidance as to what's going on with the trust fund now, what they intend to do in the future. If the trust fund starts to get lean, there's a lot of wiggle room for increasing FICA taxes or increasing the distribution age or, taxing more of it. And, again, I don't have a crystal ball and I'm not a legislator, but I do know that most of America who is retired relies on this as one of their sole sources of income. So turning that off would be crippling for our economy. So I just, like I said, right now, for our 50 and 60-year-olds, we're working with it. We're going to plan around it. But this is what, Megan, by the way, brings up an important thought. As you're listening to this, you're thinking about it. You could be a awesome, brilliant healthcare professional, an engineer, manager, a worker, whatever walk of life you're in, whatever career you're in. Whoever said you're supposed to understand the inner workings of Social Security and how it integrates with a retirement plan, creating an income, creating cash flow, getting a good rate of return, but minimizing risk? I mean, I could go on and on and on, not to mention taxes. Who said you're supposed to know that? Nobody did. But we're supposed to. We do know it. It's because we have the conversation every day. And I recommend you give us a call. Let us walk this walk with you. It's 800-725-8220. Sometimes just thinking about this can be scary, but what's more scary is the possibility of doing it wrong and possibly running out of money too soon in retirement. We're not going to let that happen. So we're going to create what's called the Best Life Retirement Plan. Give us a call so we can build one of those for you. It's available to those who have $250,000 or more of retirement assets and are interested in making sure that they have assurance that their retirement will be the best time of their lives. So call us today, 800-725-8220. That's 1-800-725-8220.
Ready to help solidify your build-it-yourself income for retirement? Stay tuned. Arwen and Randy share those with you up next.
You're listening to Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Saturday morning, drinking my coffee, checking my accounts, then that little voice in my head. What on earth are you doing? Why are you trying to be your own financial advisor? You don't know anything about the financial business. You got too much money at stake to do this by yourself. Too many people are counting on you. Sometimes you gotta listen to those voices. So I made the call. Monday, I got the call back and met with Arwen and Randy Becker. Just the three of us. Had my numbers, portfolio, basically everything, and they said, put that away. We didn't talk about what I had. We talked about what kept me up at night. What Karen wants when we retire. Don't want to let her down. I mean, we've been talking about it for years, and now here it is. We're not quite ready to retire, but we're ready to be ready.
Let's talk. Becker Retirement Group. 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.
The sooner you establish your relationship with an independent financial professional, the better. Why? That longer time horizon can give you more flexibility, broader product choices, more time to respond to market changes, more time to take advantage of opportunities, and more time to coordinate your entire financial strategy. Those are powerful reasons to get a professional in your corner while you're still working. Don't put off planning for your retirement. Choose to work with an independent financial professional. Why not start today? It may even help you retire earlier.
If it's important to you to get started today to refine your retirement strategy, give me a call. I'm Arwen Becker with Becker Retirement Group. Let's sit down together and look at your options. Call me at 1-800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. By contacting us, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of insurance and investment products.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
This is Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Hi, Megan Mozak from the Retirement News Network. I'm alongside Arwen and Randy Becker of Becker Retirement Group. Their phone number, 800-725-8220. Online, you can find out more at the website. Go to beckerretirement.com. On our show today, Randy and Arwen, they're giving you ways to construct your very own income stream for retirement. Now, Arwen, what about listeners out there today who maybe have stocks, bonds, even mutual funds, or ETFs? Those are exchange traded funds, right? How do you create income from all those sources?
Yeah, Megan, I was mentioning that in the prior segment. So, a lot of our clients will utilize something that looks more like a diversified income portfolio. So that's a portfolio that's designed to have income coming from dividends in the case of stocks, and in the case of bonds, interest payments over the life of those bonds. But you were talking about the mutual funds and ETFs, which, just for those of you who aren't exchange traded funds, it's like a mutual fund, but it's actually traded on the exchange. So it's very instantaneous. It's being repriced immediately, but it acts very much the same way. And typically doesn't have as much hands-on, a little more mathematically driven, but that's a little side note. So with those mutual funds and ETFs, we want to focus on maximizing the dividend and interest income and looking at all of that. And so the income and interest from these income generating investments, it could be taxable. So whenever we're utilizing that with a client, we want to make sure that we're taking a good solid look at your taxes during retirement to make sure that we're maximizing your income. That's why we have a CPA that works for us full time, because tax planning and tax reporting is very integrated with financial planning. The problem that most of the people that we see face is they have an accountant or a CPA that's reporting taxes, which is historical reporting, and then they have a financial advisor or a broker that's doing future projections, but the two of them are not integrated. And so that's a big piece. That's a great value add that we have as a company, to be able to do personal tax returns for our clients, or at least be able to show projections if maybe a tax issue is something that somebody's going to be facing. As it relates to these portfolios that we design too, though, we work with an institutional money manager. And the really big difference with that is when you work with an institutional money manager, ours happens to be Sterling Capital. They manage $55 billion of assets. They only focus on risk management with retirement assets with these big, enormous Fortune 500 companies, many of which are here in the Seattle area. And so we're able to utilize that same extreme due diligence for our clients, because we want to have broad diversification, but we want to make sure we do it in a simplified way and as low cost as we can, but making sure that risk and managing risk in those at-risk assets is still the number one priority.
And then what about selling off some of those types of investments, Randy, during retirement, just simply to generate some income?
Yeah, well, the idea is just put a strategy behind it. So it's to strategically sell off some of those assets to meet income needs as it comes along. And, what's also important is to put your tax hat on and to think through it from a tax standpoint. One big differentiator when you're working with a company like ours versus the biggies out there is this old rule of thumb talking about tax. how do you manage 5,000 mouths? In other words, if you're a big firm with 5,000 people out there giving advice, you basically tell them to keep their mouth shut. Go talk to your accountant. Now, Arwen and I, we're not tax professionals, but we've navigated this. We build a plan. We can get people on track with good questions to ask the tax professional that literally is right in our office, and we can help guide down that path. And the reason I bring this up, Megan, is because that's a big deal when you're beginning to structure the selling of assets or little bits of assets in order to create this income flow for yourself, which is actually a pretty good strategy. On that other side of the coin, we have to be very careful about what's called reverse dollar cost averaging. And when you liquidate small portions for monthly income from a volatile account, something that varies in price, you could very well be selling at the bottom. And that works against you just as much as dollar cost averaging when you're in accumulation mode works for you. So we always cover that with our people that we talk to.
Yeah. And oftentimes, one of the most common issues that we see for people nearing retirement is they're still really heavily invested in the stock market. The thing is, that's totally normal because that's where you spent your life, your 20s, 30s, 40s. You were accumulating and growing and saving your assets. But now is time to start protecting them. Our number one priority as a company is preserving what you have worked your entire life to accumulate. So if that matters to you, please give us a call and we'll sit down, have an initial visit, and we'll start talking about the proper amount of risk to retain in your retirement. So if you've saved at least $250,000, please give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we're going to walk through a risk assessment, your current plan, and then we're going to educate you on what the proper balance of risk and safety is as you're heading into retirement, or maybe you're already there. You know, diversification, as I had mentioned, it's really key, but so is also minimizing your volatility. And there is a big difference between your risk tolerance and your retirement plan's risk capacity. And that's something we really want you to help understand the difference. So there's absolutely no cost in sitting down, having an analysis like this. It would be our absolute pleasure to do that. And certainly in this kind of uncertain market time that we're starting to get back into. So if that feels like you, give us a call, pick up the phone, 800-725-8220, and you'll be connected with one of our financial professionals. That's 800-725-8220. We are here to serve you any way we can. 800-725-8220.
And a website I want to share with you. Arwen and Randy do have a fantastic site for you. It's at beckerretirement.com. That's beckerretirement.com. Okay, so I want to talk real estate here. Randy, let's say someone owns real estate. Are you able to take those holdings and turn them into income?
You know, Megan, we always kind of like it when we end up working with a client that has a couple of rental homes. There's a few things that will contribute to the income side of the overall retirement planning process here. One is, of course, rental income is good cash flow, or can be good cash flow. Let's just put it that way. If it's too leveraged and you're operating negative, then it's going to become time to look at it as a sore spot on your balance sheet, and maybe that needs to be rectified. But let's just assume that we've got unleveraged real estate that is producing a rental income. Gosh, we love it because it gives you the flexibility to do things like postpone Social Security or, not take distributions from your retirement funds because you've got some cash flow coming in. Now, the next thing is sequentially possibly liquidating those real estate holdings for big events. Like, let's say you decide to get a new home in a retirement community and now you need some cash to put down. You could sell a rental and put the down payment down, or maybe even pay for the whole community, or relocate. Let's talk about later in retirement. And what are the big expenses late in retirement? Well, it's healthcare usually. So there's another sinking fund sitting there available. When you liquidate a real estate holding, it's taxed. It can be taxed on the gain, but oftentimes, and we hope the tax code holds up this way, that capital gains is less than ordinary income. So it's a tax-favored way to get your hands on assets for a sinking fund at a future date. Did I tell you, Megan, there's a quiz on all of this?
I'm taking notes, Randy. Don't worry.
No, but seriously, these are the thoughts that I have related to having real estate. And frankly, that's why Arwen and I have a couple pieces ourselves for this very purpose.
It sounds like, Arwen, it's pretty clear, generating income, that lifetime income in retirement, it is so key, but it sure doesn't happen by accident. So how do we make sure that we are getting the right guidance in this department?
Megan, you're so right. It doesn't happen by accident. What is everybody, the saying is, if you aim at nothing, you will hit it. I think that's one of them. I don't know if that's the best one to choose.
That was like our RV trip last week.
We aimed at nothing and we hit it. Yeah.
Oh, we need to hear more about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But, really our whole goal is to empower people. I really get such a great feeling inside when we have someone who comes in that we can't, at the time period in which they're in, actually engage them as a client, but we're able to empower them and give them a feeling of hope that the trajectory that they're on is going to work for them long term. And so you always want to make sure you have somebody that you can communicate with, that you feel like you can connect with, that you feel like is authentic and that you can trust, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. You have to be able to have an ally that you not only feel is knowledgeable. I mean, that's obviously very important, but somebody that you really feel like you can communicate with, that you can say, hey, these are the things I'm thinking about, or this is what I'm concerned about, or, this might sound dumb. I hear that oftentimes by some people who they don't really understand finances. And so they're even afraid to ask a question. And so if that's you out there, that's why it's really important that you're working with somebody that you really truly get along with. They can help you troubleshoot and problem solve and really just be a sounding board for many of the things that affect people in retirement. Should you sell your home? If you sell your home, should you retain a little bit of a mortgage on your new home and keep more of that cash in your retirement? How is this going to affect me if we, buy a car for $30,000 or, whatever the things might be for people. And so making sure that you're confident in what you're doing is so important for all of the people that are in retirement or you're nearing retirement, making sure you're getting help on that.
Arwen and Randy, it has been a great show today on this super important topic, generating income in retirement. I wondered, Randy, any final thoughts here?
I really like today's show, Megan, because what Arwen and I were discussing today, which is income in retirement, is really one of the key aspects of retirement planning. Being cash flow neutral trumps how much you've saved in retirement. In other words, we'll see people that have some structured income from the career they chose. They got a his and her pension and a his and her Social Security, for example, and they're going to have more household income than they have expenses. They don't even touch their nest egg. So it might only be $300,000-$400,000 in savings. It'll last for the rest of their life. We see other individuals that had a different career choice, don't have pensions, maybe modest Social Securities. They've saved $2 million. They could be out of money by the time they're 80. And I'm not kidding. It's heartbreaking to see that. But good news is it doesn't stop there, because what you can do then is work with a good professional who knows what they're doing in this environment and build a plan accordingly. Many people that are listening today, though, are going to need a guaranteed stream of income they can't outlive. And that's what leads me to ask, if there's anyone out there that has ever felt like, hey, getting started is the most complicated part. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. Of course, that can be a struggle, but that's exactly why we exist, because we build these plans every day. We call ours the Best Life Retirement Plan. And the way you can get that is by doing one simple thing, giving us a call. It's 800-725-8220. Now, here's what happens. You come to our office, you're greeted with a warm cup of coffee, glass of water, whatever it is you prefer. We're going to sit down and understand a little bit about you. What makes you tick? What's your goals? What's your objectives? Then we're going to take a picture of your financial situation and build a well thought out quality retirement plan. So give us a call today if you think that makes sense. 1-800-725-8220. We'll be delighted to help you any way we can. Talk to you soon. 800-725-8220.
You've been listening to Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies. Becker Retirement Group is an independent financial services firm that helps people create retirement strategies using a variety of insurance and investment products. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to safety, security, or guaranteed lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investment products. Insurance and annuity product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. company. Becker Retirement Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. You should talk to a qualified professional before making any decisions about your personal situation. We are not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Saturday morning, drinking my coffee, checking my accounts, then that little voice in my head. What on earth are you doing? Why are you trying to be your own financial advisor? You don't know anything about the financial business. You got too much money at stake to do this by yourself. Too many people are counting on you. Sometimes you gotta listen to those voices. So I made the call. Monday I got the call back and met with Arwen and Randy Becker. Just the three of us. Had my numbers, portfolio, basically everything, and they said, put that away. We didn't talk about what I had, we talked about what kept me up at night. What Karen wants when we retire. Don't want to let her down. I mean, we've been talking about it for years, and now here it is. We're not quite ready to retire, but we're ready to be ready.
Let's talk. Becker Retirement Group, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220.
Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.